So today we are back here for a review for the upcoming Lumina Grand, which actually we have already seen many buyers appearing at the show flat today, right? Today, what I would like to really do is to really run through some of the key factors on why actually Lumina Grand is something that you guys may want to also think about. But of course, I will be giving my honest opinions. I hope this video will actually help you guys, right? So let's dive right into it. Now we are going to be talking about Lumina Grand. And today, what are we going to be covering about is some of the few factors. Now, I think for EC, a lot of us always worry if the location is a very big factor. So this is definitely something I want to be putting in. And also one of the key things that we would like to really pay attention to is who will be able to pay for your EC next time when you sell. Now, all of us will want to sell it for a profit. And this is also something important because if we know this, right? If we know this, if we know who is going to buy from us next time, then I can definitely say that we have a very strong indication where are we going to be at in the near future. And of course, I'll be giving my honest opinion on my choice pick for Lumina Grand. And I hope all this can definitely help you as if you are the buyers out there. All right. So let's dive right into it right now. Now, the key thing today for EC, a lot of us, we want to choose the EC only because of one thing, right? Government give us this opportunity. We will definitely want to see, hey, if we can, why not take it? It's kind of like the BTO. But for EC, I think it is more easier to actually determine the profitability. Now, EC, there are also high-performing ones. There are also those that did not perform as well. Today, the main key objective I want to bring this over to you guys is to how to determine high ROI EC. What do I mean by this? That means how do we know whether the EC that we choose, including the project, right down to the unit type, right? Whether does it give us a very strong exit next time in future? And this will help us to actually get definitely more profit. I'm going to break it down into three parts. Now, the first part I'm going to talk about is the distance to MRT. Second, same thing is the surrounding demand. And last thing I'm going to also share is actually the price gap, right? So let's go in one by one first. So let's talk about the distance to MRT first. Now, the price gap between MRT, let's take a look whether does it really affect your prices. So if we take a look, this is an example, right? We are in Boon Lay here, and this is Summerdale. And you can see that it's about 820 meters to Boon Lay MRT. We're going to compare this to Floraville, which is quite a distance away to Pioneer MRT. These two are the ECs in the west side, right? And Floraville is about 1,005 meters to Pioneer MRT. We know this guy is nearer and this guy is further. Let's take a look at how they perform. All right, how they perform. Let's take a look. If we can see here clearly, let me just shift this a bit. So you can see this very clearly, right? Now, if you take a look at Summerdale, the one that is nearer to MRT, you can see that their profit, most of them are coming in about $600 to $700,000, right? And you just want to take note of the timing of entry versus the timing of exit. They bought it last time in 1999, and they exited somewhere recently about 2021, 2022, one even 2023. Actually, if we compare this with Floraville, you see they entered just 1 year later, 2000, and you can see that the exit same timing, the profit here actually is so much more, right? It's actually much more. In fact, you look at the 2001, it's really closing in on about close to $1 million. So this is also something that we can really take a look at. Whether does MRT really affect the profitability, right, of an EC? Now, there's not just one comparison. We have a few more. Now, if you look at Sowekas, now this is Choa Chu Kang MRT. So Sowekas is quite a distance to Choa Chu Kang MRT. It's about 1.2 click, right? With Wonderville in the same MRT, this is 650 meters only. So this is way nearer, right, to Choa Chu Kang MRT. So let's take a look. One further, one nearer, Sowekas being the further one. How did they really fare? Now, considering the same purchase date, right, for both Wonderville and Sowekas, now we can see that their profit, right, is all the same. You can see about closing in on $800,000, right? In fact, you see the exit is all the same as well, all in 2023. So Wonderville 650 nearer to MRT, profit max 798,000. Sowekas 1.2 kilometers, 770,000. Now we can see the difference is really not much. So we can be sure one thing is that what the distance, one far, one near, to be honest, actually doesn't really matter, right? Just one more to make sure that we get this on the right track, right? You see Brownstone EC to Canberra MRT, 650 meters. As compared to Criterion, Criterion is way further, 1.7 kilometers away from Khatib MRT. So let's see how they fare. So Brownstone 650, max profit, we are looking at 632,000. Same like Criterion, right? Criterion here, you can see is also about 622,000. It's just $10,000 away. To be honest, it's not very far, but same thing. Look at the date of purchase. It's the same, 2015, exit 2023 as well. So we can, as of these few examples, what it can tell us one thing is that the EC distance, for the EC to the MRTs, to be honest, they do not play a very big role in making sure that the profit is bigger or smaller, right? We have to look at the other few factors. So MRT, we know one thing, okay? Next thing, we jump right into what? What is the surrounding demand and how they actually affect the profit? Now, I feel this is the main factor, one of the main key factors, other than the MRT location, right? This is the key factor that really affect the demand or even the profit, all right, the next time of the EC that you choose. So if we look at this, now I'm going to take out two examples. You look at Punggol and Pasir Ris, both have ECs. Huh? Both have ECs. So we look at Terrace versus Sea Horizon in Pasir Ris and Punggol in Terrace. So let's take a look. Terrace, which is in Punggol, profit, you can see profit is 621,000. Whereas if you compare it with Pasir Ris Sea Horizon, profit is 400,000. Right? So we can see that the Punggol one is more for the 3-bedroom. So let's see the 4-bed. Now, 4-bed, same thing, Terrace and Sea Horizon, right? In fact, if you take a look at their profit, there's a very big difference. Profit here, okay, for Sea Horizon in Pasir Ris is only 340,000. Whereas you can see for Punggol, it has hit up to a $788,000 in terms of a profit for this EC. This is just for the 4-bed. For the 5-bed, similarly, Terrace hitting 897, Sea Horizon hitting 592. So there's a very clear trend here, which is what? Punggol, the Terrace EC is performing really much more better than the Pasir Ris Sea Horizon. Now, there's one very clear indication why this is so. So I'm going to show you what's happening, right? So if you look at Sea Horizon, which is in Pasir Ris, now you realize in 2021 to 2023, there is no BTO. Not say no BTO, sorry, no BTO, there were MOP. Now, why is this important? Now, when BTO's MOP, actually there is a flood of what? A flood of demand, because all these MOP owners, right, they have made some money, they have some cash, some proceeds on hand. The natural thing that they want to do from a BTO that actually make money is to upgrade into a resale condo, right? And the next best choice for them is always the resale MOP ECs, right? Which is why when Sea Horizon is selling, actually there's no demand coming in from the MOP. There's no MOP blocks in the first place. If there is buyers, there is, but it's very spread out, right? Maybe occasionally one or two from that particular cluster, from that particular block. They don't have a sudden flux or influx of demand. But if you compare this to Punggol, let's take a look at Punggol. Punggol Terrace, when they were selling, right? Punggol is a town where there's a lot of MOP units. In fact, you take a look, right? In 2021 to 2023, there was a total of 3,991 units of BTO who MOP during that window of 2 years. Now, I'm not going to take much. If you just take 20% of them, it's close to 800 units. That may 800 buyers, sorry, that is selling, and 800 may want to look at the latest, newest MOP EC that is available on the market, and that happened to be Terrace. And if we translate this back to the profit, you can see that's why there is demand pushing the Terrace profits, right, to a much higher level, right? Same thing. Now, if we look at the west side, now west side we have Westwood versus Soul Acres. Both are already found in the west. But if you look at Westwood, 3-bedroom, right? We have profits of 470. Soul Acres, same 3-bedroom. However, the people here actually make $632,000, right? 630 versus 470. Next, let's look at the 4-bedroom. Westwood 523, Soul Acres 769. Right, a very big difference, 200 over 1,000 difference, yeah. And lastly, of course, oh sorry, here, yep, the 4-bedroom. Okay, and if you can see here, actually the purchase price is also about the same. And that could have also been a very, very big indication, right? The PSF both same, so what happened? So let's take a look. In Westwood, right, there is similarly no BTO MOP. Now, Westwood, if you're west side, you're aware, is actually nearer to the landed side, right? There's a small little landed area. And there's not much housing there, in terms of the public housing. There's no supply of housing there that can actually supply the kind of demand to push Westwood's demand up. But if you look at this Seoul Acres, now Seoul Acres is in Choa Chu Kang, and this area here, we already have 6,000 units of BTO MOP, and that is why Seoul Acres have enough. To be honest, it may not even be enough, right? I mean, the demand may not, the supply may not even be enough to fit the BTO units who are MOPing in this timing of 2022 to 2023. Therefore, you can see Seoul Acres easily can overtake in terms of the profitability here. Even the 3 bedrooms here are making easily about $600 over $1,000. Okay. So with all this being said, right, I think the next thing we want to see is this. Now, what's going to happen to Lumina Grand? Okay, so Lumina Grand, we also want to know who will be able to buy the property from us. Okay, so now let's take a look here. If you see in Bukit Batok itself, or even closer to Tengah, because Lumina Grand is in between, right? We do have the BTOs that will be we do have supply of BTOs. And these are I've also pulled out the prices here, because the one thing about this is that we need to know these people in future when they sell, right? These BTO people, when they actually make money from the BTO, can they afford to buy your Lumina Grand next time or not? That's important. Oh. So let's take a look at this thing. So if you see, this is all in 2022, the HDB BTO exercise, the 20221, and their prices are around here. So let's start from the 4-room, right? The 4-room here is about 309,000, which means back then, all right, previously, right, I would say last time, sorry. If I come back to here, now they buy 309, and last time, sorry, as of now, they actually sell $690,000, right? This is the BTO that has already MOP today. Okay, the MOP today, and they are selling about 680, 690, which means this is a few batches before these prices here. So what I can say very safely say is that the prices here for the 4-room back then was probably about 280,000. Right, that's a fair price, because right now is in 2022 is 309. So back then is about 280,000, give and take. So why I want to use this? So last time they would have bought at 280,000. Today they will sell at this price. All right. So now if I come back here, now we need to understand this thing called the affordability gap. Now, if you can catch this thing, you will know roughly who are the group of people that can easily pay for your unit when you want to exit next time. So I'm going to take the 4-bed here, okay, as an example. 4-bed in Bukit Batok BTO. Last time, same thing, they would have bought at $280,000. Today, the average selling price is $680,000. Okay, so now why I want to pull this out is because actually this jump here, they would have already made a 400,000 on paper. But of course, along the way, the 5-6 years that they have been servicing the installment, they would have already paid off about $100,000+. Okay, not just CPF, but the installment. So it would have went back into the principal amount. So these two things add together, they are potential funds. Most of them will hold on to about $500,000+. Okay, so why this is important? So next time when they sell, most of them will have this money. So today, Lumina Grand, right? Today to buy a 3-bedroom will cost us about 1.4 million. Okay, 1.4 million. Now, next time when you resell this 1.4 to 1.8, the down pay for this 1.8 million actually only costs us $535,000, which means the people here who are already behaving this way today, right? They can really afford this next time already. So this means one thing, and this means one thing which is that in future we know that this average group of buyers, this common group of buyers in Bukit Batok, right, that comes from the BTOs in Bukit Batok, actually they are able to afford this property here when you resell your Lumina Grand next time. Okay, same thing. Let's take a look at the 5-room example. 5-room last time. You see, last time they buy about, say, maybe about 400 plus, right? So I just give and take. I take out another 20,000. Today they can sell. Last time they can buy 385. Today they can sell about 800 over 1,000. So you can see today they would have made about here 420, 430,000 easily on the selling price. Plus the 200,000 principal that they have paid into it, they would have made have a total of $620,000. If you use the same concept, you can see that the 4-bed here, today we buy Lumina Grand is 1.67 million. Now, if you resell it at a 2.17 million, the down payment is just 620,000 as well. So this thing here, we also know that the 5 rooms here, right? In fact, for the Lumina Grand, for the 5-room HDB owners, they can easily upgrade into this with more than enough funds for them to use. So this is one thing to ascertain whether the buyers here, right, in Bukit Batok or Tengah area, right, can they actually afford, will they be able to form up that type of demand that Lumina Grand wants to see in future to make this type of profit? Okay, so this is definitely one very important factor all of us will need to consider about. So now if we look at this area here, right, if you take a look, in 2022 to 2025, we already have 8,262 units of BTO. Okay, and in fact, from 2028 to 2023, how many units were actually MOP as well? Total, we are looking at about 12 to 13 over thousand. So there's a lot of supply going, there's a lot of demand that's going to come out from here, and this will definitely be pushing the prices of Lumina Grand in the area there. Okay, now last point I'm going to talk about is the price gap between old and new EC. Now, a lot of people also think about EC as, although today the prices are about 1,400, right? But some of us will still think that, hey, you know, there are cheaper ECs, right? And resale ECs, and you know, if the price is cheaper, why should I go for it? So I just want to show you what's the performance like for a new EC versus an older EC as well. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, Twin Waterfall in Punggol, right? Back then it's a resale already. You can see the average is only 950 per square feet, right? As the transaction, you can see. Now, during the same period of time in 2020, right, Piermont Grand launched, right? When Piermont Grand launched, they were launched at 1,001 per square feet. Okay, and you can see that this is normal one because why? The old one, definitely because they were launched earlier, their PSF definitely is lower. But you look at Piermont Grand, right? They are newer, so they have to launch definitely higher. And that's why this gap here is about $200+ per square feet, holding on about 60% in terms of the price gap, right? For a new and a old one. Okay. Then next thing, we look at another property here, Privé or older condo, $900 per square feet. Versus Piermont Grand, also same thing, 1,001. This is about 22% difference in terms of the price gap as well. So most of the new EC today, right, they all have to be 16 to 20 over percent higher than the older ones. That's normal because new and old, the price cannot be the same, right? But if you look at today in the location that we're looking at, you look at Soul Acres, right? Soul Acres today, they are already transacting at about 1,003 to 1,004. Average I've calculated is about 1,380 per square feet. But if Lumina Grand, I mean, as we know, the prices are already launching at about 1,450 on average, right? Now, if we really compare these two, it's only 5%. 5% higher. The gap is very small. Same like this, another example, if we really take it 7%, right, it's only 1,480 per square feet. So this gap here, to be honest, I think is really, really attractive because we know that Lumina Grand doesn't want to be too overconfident as well, right? So that's why they have to sell around this type of pricing to make sure that there is demand as well. Okay, so I really do think that the gap is pretty safe for buyers to consider. Okay, so now we have been through these three things, and in fact, with distance close to MRT, the surrounding that affects the profit, and of course your price gap, I can only say that Lumina Grand really fits these three very nicely. Okay, so which is why today I'm going to go right into my choice selection for Lumina Grand, and I hope that this thing you can actually take to go to the show flat, you know, to do the correct homework to know what type of property will actually suit your needs as well. Okay, I mean, to be honest, every one of us we come to the market, all of us will want to do a bit of homework. Why is it so? If really just to buy a house, just to own self go and stay, we can no need to do homework one. But because we know, end of the day, the money that we take back, it can really differ a lot, right? Some we are talking about difference of 200, 300, 400 over 1,000, as we can see earlier. And this sum of profit, this difference in profit, can it actually help us in terms of retirement? Can it help us in terms of a better quality of lifestyle? I would say the answer is definitely yes. So homework is definitely important. So now let's come back to Lumina Grand, and now we're going to go into the choice selection, and I will just give you my take on how they would likely be pricing the prices here. All right. So if I look at here, right, this is the site plan. Some of you who are familiar, if you see here, there's only a three-bed premium, 4 and 5 bedroom. So total here, there's only 4. I mean, to be honest, it's about 3 types now, or 3 different property types. And I'm going to give my my own take on how likely the developers will be pricing the units, right? So likely based on this, if I see all the 3 bedrooms here, right, these are all facing the main entrance together with this batch here. These here are facing the neighboring flats. Now, I think that based on this floor plan alone, right, these are the first 2 levels of pricing where, you know, they start from the likely the price the lowest, right? So if for those who are looking for a 3-bed, you can see mostly it's 3-bed, huh? For those who are looking for a 3-bed, right, affordable ones, I think likely these 2 sites, these 2 rows will likely be the one of the lowest PSF in this development, followed by here, right? Followed by these 2 stacks here. So this one is because it's facing here as well. This one is facing to, this is another EC called Atura. And this one is also facing the neighbors as well. So here, what I can see is that this likely will be the second, in terms of affordability, this would be the second tier, first tier being the outside one. So these are the second tiers. Let me use blue color, right? And this will be the second area where the developer will raise the price just by a slight jump of the PSF, right? The others would likely be, the second part one will definitely be here, right? Of course, the lower floors will have to face the tennis court, whereas the rest here, the internal facing one, all right, will be holding definitely the higher percentile of the PSF lah. So we can see that, I just should use yellow color for the inside. So these are the way I think they will be pricing the units for this development. Now, this is important because, when you go in during the ballot, when you go in during the selecting of the units, right, you also need to know how they price it so that it can actually help you to choose the right type of unit within your price range as well. Okay, so with this being said, right, what we want to do right now, I will actually be I'll try to go deeper into the floor plan for us so as to see whether, is it something that we can actually choose so that, the future demand, the future buyers would be choosing our units easier over the others. All right, I think that's important as well. So let's take a look at this next one. So today we're going to talk about, of course, Lumina Grand. So here I'm going to compare very quickly the 2 layouts for Lumina Grand. 3 bedrooms. So there's the 3-bed premium, 4-bed, and 5-bed. So let's talk about the 3-bedroom first. Now, the 3 bedrooms, they have 2 different layouts, right? So the A1 and A2. Now, for the A1, A2, right? Now, we can see both are pretty similar, just that the kitchen is in a different orientation. So let's take a look at A1 first. I come in from here, right? I do have a very neat and clean wall by the side. And this will help me to enter into a long kitchen. Okay, so this long kitchen, you can see the fridge is here, the sink, and then the cooking hob. And of course, here there is the entrance to the home shelter. Now, why am I focusing on here is because if you take a look, right, the rooms wise, there is not much difference. The rooms wise, you can see here, from here all the way to here, and from here all the way to here. There's not much difference here. The main difference here lies in the kitchen. So the orientation here is a bit different. I come in here, okay, for the A2, right? Once I turn left, there is a kitchen here, which is slightly shorter, all right, slightly shorter, and there is a bomb shelter here. All right, there's a bomb shelter here. Let me just clear this part. Yeah, there's a bomb shelter here. Here I have A1, right, with this type of, with this orientation, and A2, and I would say that the main difference is the kitchen here. So my take here is actually the A1. Why I say so? Now the A2 gives a little bit inconvenience. If you can see, right, the bomb shelter door is here, and the entrance, the entrance into the main kitchen is also here. So if let's say this bomb shelter door is kept open, definitely there will be some blockage in terms of this. But one thing good about the kitchen is that there is a, there's this triangle here, which I think is good because the person cooking don't need to run up and down as compared to this guy here, up and down, right? But the good thing is that the bomb shelter entrance is nicely tucked away in A1, right? In A1. So I think other than that, it's quite a straightforward one. In fact, For A1 here, because it's so long, right, it will feel like there is like a yard, right? Kind of like a yard. The only difference is that there is a window here for A2, right? For A1, the window is here. Okay, so when I think for both placement is pretty similar in terms of the rooms, but when it comes to the kitchen, that's just really down to personal preference. But I think A1 gives a more clean and neat feel. In fact, A1 also you can probably build some cabinetry here, right? Which gives you a bit more storage as well, probably tucked up by the wall. You can use that space. For A2, you cannot be blocking the TV box, and this part all cannot use because all is the entrance. Okay, so that's my take. So for the 3-bed, if that is your only budget, you choose the 3-bed A1. Now let's go to the 3-bed premium. The 3-bed premium, right? There's 4 layouts. All right, 4 layouts. You have the A4, A3, A4, A5, A6. So what's the difference, right? So let's take a look at A4, A3. All right, A4, A3, they are the 969 square feet, 969, 969. And if we see the, let's see, 969. Okay, so I think for this, my take for this, in between these two, I will not be choosing much of these two layouts because my take is actually in the next page, right? But let me just go through very quickly. So for this, we can walk in, right? And of course, there's a certain bend here before you can actually look at the whole living room itself. Looking at A3 as well. A3 is a little bit more, I personally do not really go for A3 type of layout because one room is here, 2 rooms is here. I personally, I always prefer the rooms to be nicely tucked on one side so that the flow of, the way we come back home, right? There's not like people going all around the place like that. So I prefer all going into one area where the rooms are on one side. So this is definitely out for me, right? So let's go for A5 and A6 as well. Now, my choice is actually A5. I will tell you in a bit. But let's see A6, right? A6, same thing. If you see A6 and A5, difference is only the kitchen as well, right? It's this part that is different. This part that is different. The rest of the rooms, they are all the same. Okay, all the same. So for A5, right, my choice, A5, is because number one, the kitchen here, you can see same thing. Here is a longish kitchen, right? And in fact, same thing, even though it's long, they are not on one side. The fridge, cooker hob, and sink is not on one side. The guy who cooks, right, no need to go up and down, just stay in that corner. All right. But one thing I really like about this place is because it's a very clean layout. Why I say so? Because you see this part here, actually I can really build things on it. But for A6, right, it's a kind of a small place for me to build. Right. I don't think I'll be able to build any cabinetry there. In fact, for A5, one of the few things I can see is actually the only difference for A6 and A5 is that A6 is 980 square feet. But if you look at here, right, it includes 15 square meter of strata void, which means likely it is the living room that is slightly bigger, right, than this. I suspect is this lah. So we can see that the difference is really not much. And if there is a 969 here and this is 980 here, I think the difference, I don't think the real buyers in future, right, they can actually feel the difference in terms of when they come into the unit physically lah. So now that's why you see here, I think looking at these two examples, right, A5 actually gives a much cleaner feel. Why? Because if you look at here also, this part here, you just walk in, it's a very, very clean layout, right? As compared to all this, you can see here, this one is not clean. This one is like jagged also, right? This one even worse. This one is like up and down. Straight away enter here is this way. Okay. So my take for the 3-bed premium would definitely be A5 in this scenario, the 969 square feet. Okay. Now, if we were to go to the 4-bed, right? Now, 4-bed is quite straightforward for me. It is the B2. Now, I have written down here on my side, right? Can build cabinet along the wall entrance. So if we look at B2, right? You can see here, correct? So you see this part here. This part here, it can be used as cabinetry as well. So I always look out for this because I think although we take over the EC, we do not want to do too much, but end day, more storage is always good, right? And if you can tuck things away, it's always good. But for this one, a bit difficult. In fact, this one will have the same problem. The bomb shelter door will block the entrance if it's that. You cannot only do one thing at one time. But this one is different. This part here, the aisle is already not able to use because of it's a walkway. And that's why if you use here as a entrance, I think it's fine because you're not going to use that space anyway, right? And that's why here you can actually afford to build something. Here you can also build something. So there's very good space usage here. But for here, it's very difficult. This whole part here is all wasted. You cannot block. You cannot do that because it's all blocked already, right? And plus this is the DB box as well. So definitely B1 is out of the question, right? So we come very quickly. B3, B4, why I did not touch it? Because they are 1259, 1270 square feet. The only difference is that they have a bigger living room. And I think definitely this is something that's good. But of course, you have to double check whether your quantum, right, is affordable for these few layouts as well. Now, coming to one thing to note, you see that the 4 bedrooms here, right? Where's this? Okay, you can see the 4 bedrooms here. They are all facing inside one. You see? They're all facing inside. Whereas for the B2 that I chose, right, they have one that actually face here. So I think they may have a better view for this as well, right? But we have to see the pricing at that point in time. So I'm thinking the B2, if you can manage to snag a good price, I think it's good to actually go for it. Okay, now we're going to go into the 5 bedroom. 5 bedroom is pretty straightforward, right? But it's also a matter of your budget as well. If you have the budget, definitely go for the 1,002 square feet. Okay, but let's look at this. Let's look at the layout. Let's do it. Let's run through one time together. Now, I think the layout is very similar because you can see here it comes into the dry kitchen, right? Then we enter into the wet kitchen. This is the same dry kitchen, wet kitchen. TV box are on the same placement. However, I think the only thing about the 5 bed, which I think is really good, and also the big 4 bed, is actually the walk-in. You can see here, right? It's the walk-in that it gives off a very nice view. So if you have that budget and you want to go for really that luxury, right? Feel free to actually go for it, right? But I think other than that, the difference is not much. The only good thing about a 5 bedroom is that there is very low in supply. There's only about 50 units here overall, right? So this is something that, you know, in Lumina, if someone really wants to go for that 5 bedder, right, they may have to pay slightly a bit more because not many people will be selling. Okay, so with all this being said, my choice right now would be definitely just right down here. Okay, the 3 bedroom, 969 square feet. Mine is the A1 layout. All right. Of course, not that it's the best. This is just personally what I feel will be good and will be easy to resell in future. We have the 4 bedroom, 1152 square feet, and that would be the B2 layout. Is it the B2? Let me see. Yes, the B2 layout. So this is one of this is the choice unit that I actually gave. Right, for the 5, actually both is about the same. So now this table analysis is something that I've compiled for you guys. Now, why do I put these 3 choices here? Because now I think the 3 bedroom will be about this pricing for the PSF. Okay, for the 1152, because it's slightly larger, maybe the PSF is slightly lower, right? And for the 5 bedroom, definitely because of the size, right? So maybe the quantum is bigger, the PSF is slightly smaller. So these are all the estimated launch prices, right, which will be launching based on this PSF that I've actually noted down. But the key thing about this is that now we also want to know what is the profit that we actually be looking at if we take up these units, right? So I've really calculated based on a 30% profit from this launch price. This will be the pricing that you have to sell at to achieve a 30% profit. For the 3 bed 969, you will get 421,000 profit if you sell 30% above, right? For the 4 bed 1152, you just need to sell 2.1, you can get back 494, close to 500,000 profit. Of course, the 5 bedroom easier, right? Because it's big, right? So you jump a little bit more. 30% is $632,000 profit. But of course, the next thing I'm going to cover is what? I'm going to cover whether is it really doable or not, and whether is it something acceptable in the market in future or not. So we just want to take a look. So we start with the 3 bedroom. You can see that you have to sell at 1.8 million in future so that you can get the 421,000 profit. So let's take a look. I've already done my homework. So in future, right, if we sell at 1.825, who will be able to buy this house? So in order to buy this house, next time people will be using TDSR to buy a house. In fact, when you buy here last time, right, today, it's actually based on MSR, right? But next time when people buy your house, they will go to the bank. You know, the banks will grant them a higher loan because it's based on TDSR, Okay, so based on TDSR, I've already calculated 75% loan of this 1.826 million, you only need to loan 1.369 million. And in order to get this loan, we just need a household income of $12,000, bare minimum, and we can really afford this 3-bedroom. So this is definitely easy one. All right, I think it's easily to do because if you do husband and wife, right, each one $6,000, they can really afford this property already, right, at 1.8 million. Second one, let's take a look at the 4-bedroom. Okay, 4-bedroom, in order to make the 30% profit, we have to sell at 2.1 million. But of course, for this, the same 75%, you have to take a 1.6 million loan. And this would mean the husband and wife, the couple will need to earn at least $14,796 based on today's TDSR. Now, I think this is still very doable because now husband and wife, example, maybe one is 8,000, the other one 7,000. Actually, they can really settle this loan here itself already, right? But my concern is actually more towards the 5-bedroom because for the same 2.7 million, they have to make about $18,900 joint income here just to make sure they can get a loan of $2 million, right, to sustain for this 2.7. So the 5-bed, in order to sell this, I would think that, now I mean, I'm not too sure. Maybe there are some people by then, but of course, I would say that the probability, the percentage may not be as high as the 4-bed and the 3-bed. In fact, the 4-bed looks very doable to me, right? So just depending on this info here, I already roughly know the income of the future demand, where do they need to be at? In fact, you see this here, the difference here is just $2,000, right? But the difference here is already $4,000. So the gap between the 3 and 4 is very small. So next time people may not mind to go for the 4-bed really. Okay, so now let's take a look here. We're going to go into the next step to see what products today are already being accepted at this type of pricing. Okay, so you see the 3-bed, right? 3-bed today in that west area, Bukit Batok, right? The area you can see, in order for us to sell at 1.8 million, today, there are how many products that are actually doing. In fact, we can only see at 1.8 million, we only can see one project that is very close to having this amount being paid, right? The rest are still pretty far away. We have the highest so far is about maybe 1.6, right? 1.6. The rest are all well below. So not that it cannot, just that I feel that as of today, right, the gap is still far, right? We have the highest is about 1.6, 1.7, only one project paying 1.79. So next time it will take some time for the acceptance of a 3-bedroom to hit about 1.8 million. And I think Lumina Grand will have that timing because it's going to be quite a while later as well. But what is more interesting is the 4-bed, right? So when I take a look at the 4-bed, it is much more interesting because the 4-bed, we just need to sell at 2.1 million. We will already make about close to 490 plus thousand, right? Just now we saw the profit. So for this, right, you can see actually in the Bukit Panjang, Choa Chu Kang area, Bukit Batok area, we can already see people paying 2.5, 2.3, 2.2, 2.1. Some already 1.9, 1.8. It's already very close to the pricing that we want to achieve years later, right? So when we resell, we know that in this area, actually a lot of people are okay to accept this pricing one. So to me, in my opinion, right, I would definitely say that the 4-bedrooms, right, the 4-bedrooms here, right, I would think is a good choice for people if they can actually go for it. Now the 5-bed, not that cannot. I just feel that the 5-bed, in terms of the affordability is not there. Okay, but with that being said, I went to do a search. There's not much 5-bedrooms in the area at all, Bukit Batok. And in fact, if I were to place, the unit types in terms of priority, right, what I would do is, number one, I would definitely want to go for my 4-bedroom. If you can really go for the 1,002 square feet one, please feel free. But I'm doing this for the majority. I feel that the 1152 is already good enough. So if you can choose to go there for the layout, B2 layout, right, for the 1152 square feet. My second choice would be the 5-bedrooms. Now, why do I say so? Because 5-bedrooms is very, very low in supply in the area, in that project, right? We only have like 50 over units. And even right now, I go and do the research. There's really not many 5-rooms that can give me even any data. So this will prove to be something very important. In fact, today, if we look at Treasure at Tampines, the 5-bedrooms are the highest profit now because why? In Tampines, there's not many that has 5-bedroom as well. Majority of 4-bedroom. right? So the 5-bedroom actually has a very strong one, a very strong demand, especially when it comes to the resale market. So 5-bedroom is my second choice. Okay, the third one would be the 3 bedrooms. So that's how I would probably place the choice of order. And if you can really go for this, I'll be super happy for you. Okay, so with all that being said, of course, it also boils down to, at the show flat, what are the few other key things you must look out for, right? When you go down, don't be afraid when you see a lot of people. Don't be kanchong and go and follow them this way, right? Just make sure we do the homework correctly. And I hope all these, especially this video, can really give you a very good idea of how you want to be planning your homework for Lumina Grand, or maybe even for the upcoming ECs as well. Okay, so with that being said, I hope this video is of some help to you. If let's say you really want to actually do a personal consultation on the choice that you're going to make, feel free to reach out to me, right? My number is in any of the YouTube or in any of this description in the video, right? Feel free to reach out to me and we'll see how we can proceed with that. Okay, so good luck to all of you there in Lumina Grand.